Arc clones, chain lightning, high AoE burst damage, he's got it all. G'day guys, I've been playing Ning Fei basically since the release of Destiny Rising. He's been my on and off main with Yolda. Now a few things before we start, I'm pretty much entirely free to play. The only thing I've ever bought is the seasonal battle pass. No extra pulls or anything like that. And with an incomplete version of this build, I've been ranking pretty well in the APAC servers leaderboard so far. But anyway, this build guide will cover the best ways to set up Ning Fei entirely for a free-to-play account, with a few extra additions for once you have his first dupe and talent tree upgrade. We're breaking this down into parts, starting off with weapons and then moving into artifacts. And of course, this video is timestamped for your viewing pleasure, so skip around as you please. Now, the first thing we need to cover is Ning Fei's kit. What do his abilities actually do, and how do we maximize the uptime? Ning Fei is an arc hunter using an SMG and crossbow, meaning his main coverage is rapid fire shinkers. But he can also do really well with precision and impact shinkers due to the crossbow. His base trait gives him 6 rounds of vault shot every time he uses an ability. These stacks make your rounds chain lightning between nearby enemies, and that includes through basic cover like phalanx shields. Stacking these chain lightning rounds on enemies will cause an arc overload, which is like a burst DPS shot on all chained enemies. First ability we're going to cover is Side Trick, which utilizes the keywords summon, damage resist, and movement, where Ning Fei will launch himself in a direction and summon an arc clone that deals AoE damage and heals Ning Fei on hit. It'll also use Ning Fei's other ability, where it deals slightly less damage. His second ability, Lightning Strike, uses the keywords Corrupt and Movement. It's a simple ability where Ning Fei will jump forward and slam an area with his arc staff, and any enemy hit will be corrupted, preventing them from healing for a little while. All of Ning Fei's clones will also use a lesser version in the same location. Now his super, Arts of Staff, lets Ning Fei use his arc staff for melee attacks and to block incoming damage for a little while. It has very high burst DPS. Holding down the melee button will burn the whole super in a few seconds for big damage, or you could opt to not attack to block for an extended period. It's on a pretty short cooldown as far as supers come, and it's a great way to deal with mini bosses or shinkers without shields. Moving on to arguably his most important relic upgrade, the first one, which makes it so that every time Lightning Strike gets a final blow, Side Trick comes off of cooldown. This is a great way to stack a bunch of chain lightning charges by activating Side Trick, Lightning Strike, and Side Trick again for 18 stacks. With his kit covered, let's talk about our weapon choices, including exotics. In the SMG slot, our options are Huckleberry, Riskrunner, or a mythic SMG. Both of these exotics are decent. Of course, I think Riskrunner is the better option over Huckleberry, especially given that with the first catalyst, it'll proc Arc Conductor every time you use an arc ability. Of course, there's also then the Chain Lightning synergy, which boosts Ning Fei's AoE damage even further. In terms of mythic SMGs, Wolfpack is 100% the play, with overall better perks and dealing void damage for extra shield coverage. Mentioning these mythic SMGs is important because when we move to our heavy crossbow slot, hands down the best option is the exotic Mahamayuri. So far from my in-game experience, Mahamayuri is probably the best exotic in the game for everything, like ad clear, DPS, mini boss damage, and it drops mainly from the break-in gauntlet onslaught activity with a pretty decent drop chance actually. Now if you don't have Mahamayuri yet, Saizo is a pretty solid option for mythics, but I'd really recommend grinding the exotic, because it has 2 firing modes, where hip firing will send 3 bolts out that pierce through enemies, and now this mode is mainly used for ad clear. Grouping up enemies and shooting bolts through them will just absolutely demolish red bars, especially with the chain lightning rounds from using abilities. Aiming down sights will shoot all 3 bolts in a single precise shot, which deals bonus precision damage. And this mode is nuts. It shreds really everything. Shinkers, bosses, etc. Now, with weapons and abilities covered, let's talk about the real meat and potatoes here. Artifacts. Of course, we want all exotics here, but mythics will do until you grind, good or perfect exotics. In our first slot, we've got 2 choices. And of all the HP and defense artifacts to slot here, the 2 options I recommend are Nimble Veil, which gives you damage resist every time you use a movement ability. That means both of our main abilities. We also then have the option to run Nourishing Pact here, which restores our health every time we summon something. I'd only really recommend Nourishing Pact if you have Ning Fei's first talent, which means that you would have 2 charges of instant healing from Side Trick. Give them both a try and see which one works out best for you. Of course, the healing is more noticeable, but if you time the damage resist proc well, you can tank a lot of big hits. In the second slot, again, we have 2 choices. Healing Veil will give us a burst of healing every time we use a movement ability, Combined with the burst damage from Lightning Strike or the get out of jail free card and side trick, you can save yourself like a lot with this. We also have the option of running Healing Nutation, where landing multiple weapon hits on enemies will restore a bunch of health, like an absurd amount. 2 shots from Mahamayuri with this thing will restore like 300 health, and past that point every shot heals like 900 on paper. In the third slot, this is where we dive into damage bonuses. I think the top 2 options here are Courageous Planetismal, which gives us a 10-second damage boost after using any ability, or Rampaging Pact, which gives us a larger boost for 6 seconds every time we summon something. Again, I think if you have the first talent, Rampaging Pact is the way to go. An on-demand damage boost that you can maintain for an extended period of time is really, really solid. Finally, in the 4th slot, I think the only way to go is with Bellicose Planetismal. It's a weapon damage buff every time we use abilities. There's no fancy bells or whistles, it's just stacking an extra DPS boost on top of our chain lightning damage. Now, with the artifacts covered, let's talk about min-maxing our artifacts with attributes. The way this system works is that by getting matching attributes on our slotted artifacts, they become stronger, but also it increases our set effect boost, which makes the artifact abilities stronger as well. The first 2 slots have the same defensive attributes, and the final 2 slots share their offensive attributes. In terms of defense, we're mainly looking for Shield Boost for extra base shield and regen when it breaks, Elemental Resistance for general damage resist, Defense Boost for the same reason, and finally either the melee or ranged damage resistances. Stacking these give such a massive boost to our overall survivability. It's actually insane how it really isn't mentioned in game as like something to strive for. At max tier, each of these buffs gives like a 20 to 25% damage resist boost that applies pretty much all of the time, and the shield boost attribute alone at max level gives a 50% increase to our maximum shield. Now, in our 3rd and 4th artifact attribute slots, we're looking to stack as much damage as possible. So our big contenders here are Super Boost, Arc Boost, Signature Boost, Ability Strength, and finally Weapon Enhancement. These all work with both Ning Fei's abilities and his weapons, so something like Arc Boost at max level will give our abilities, and then something like Mahamayuri 16% bonus damage, as well as healing on final blow. Now finally, to summarize, all of this together gives us insane on-demand healing, chain lightning AoE damage, a high burst damage super, and an insane amount of damage resist. Recently I've been working on speedrunning the Expanse, and ranking top 100 in my server as a free-to-play account has felt like really good, especially when I compare my stats to others with like max Gwynns and now max Estelas. But of course, let me know down in the comments below what you think of this build or who you want to see next. And also I want to hear what you guys have to say about Destiny Rising's build crafting system. And as always, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.